We didn't say anything about drugs. Was there anyone who wished your son harm, who might have beat him?
Oh, he's gonna get a beating, I tell you what. He knows damn well what comes of pulling stunts like this. Yeah, he's gonna get it good.
Mrs. Bauer, did Aaron have any enemies?
Enemies? No. He's just a kid. Wait a minute. You ain't New York City cops at all. No. You're from Russell County.
What
You bastards! You goddamn kidnappers ain't gonna get away with this! You're not taking him again! I'll kill you!
What's going on here?
He's my baby! He's my baby!
You don't
My
have to stand for this,
baby.
Mrs. Bauer.
No!
Take her home.
Of course.
Stephen Montrose, General Director of Good Shepherd. Would you mind explaining what just happened in my office?
You just interfered with the murder investigation.
Is Jenna Bauer a suspect?
Jenna Bauer is the mother.
Oh, I see. Look, detectives, this agency was set up to serve the needs of at-risk families, those whom the other agencies have abandoned to poverty and addiction.
We understand, but
Do you? You've just come steamrolling in and hit one of my clients with about the most devastating news you can imagine. But instead of leaving her to her grief, you turn around and give her the third degree, like she was a common criminal. Not in my office, detectives, not here.
I'm sorry you don't approve of our technique, Dr. Montrose, but...
I'm familiar with the boy's case history. I can answer your questions.
give me some background on Good Shepherd. Did you found this agency?
No, Detective. Good Shepherd has been in existence since 1933. It was founded by the Sisters of Trinity Convent, but their order has been dwindling since Vatican II. It was placed in lay hands in the early 80s, and I was named as director in 95. The church still technically oversees the business, but we're negotiating to purchase it from the Archdiocese.
This is all very interesting, but really, shouldn't we stay focused on Aaron Bauer? What was Mrs. Bauer yelling about when you came in?
Something about us being from Russell County, come to take her kid.
Can't help you with that one. My knowledge of the Bauers only goes back 2 years. That's when they arrived in New York. Jenna was living on the street when Good Shepherd first intervened, about 6 months later. The legal machine had shunted the boy off to City Youth Home. We successfully fought to get mother and son back together. So you see, Jenna Bauer does have some cause for feeling less than friendly toward the police.
Aaron was involved in some shady business. There were drugs in his backpack.
Crystal meth.
Is there any possibility that he or his mother...
No, our clients don't abuse drugs.
None of them? You said yourself these are at-risk people.
Of course. Most have struggled with addictions of one sort or another. But each of our clients has made a commitment to turn his or her life around. We've worked closely with Mrs. Bauer. We can vouch for her.
On the evidence, I'm not so sure Mrs. Bauer should have had custody.
Do you always blame the parent for their child's death, Detective? Or only when the parent is poor?
Now, wait a minute.
No, you wait a minute. People like Jenna Bauer have had it hard enough in New York just getting by. It doesn't help when the city's guardians look at them like they were moral degenerates.
She practically bragged that she beat the kid.
You're mistaken, Detective. All of our clients are given intensive training in positive parenting.
When's the last time the Bauer's caseworker paid a visit, do you know?
Of course. Miss Schuyler filed a visitation report on Christmas Day.
We'll need to see the case file, of course.
I'm sorry, that's not possible.
This is a murder investigation, Dr. Montrose.
The files contain some sensitive material from several years ago, in another state. I assure you nothing remotely relevant to the current tragedy.
I thought you didn't know anything about the Bauers before they came to New York.
Nothing relevant, I meant. Am I a suspect now, too?
How exactly do you train your clients in positive parenting?
Why do you ask? Are you looking to brush up on your skills?
I just want to know how the training process works.
Well, we've got a publication, Children Can't Be Beat. It serves as our course curriculum. New clients meet once a week to work through the lessons and talk about their own experiences as parents.
This is all very fascinating, but shouldn't we be discussing the Bauer case?
Dr. Montrose, I've got to insist that you follow procedure and turn over the Bauer case file.
You should have called ahead, Detective. Procedure dictates that you give us at least 2 hours advanced warning.
I put in a request when I phoned the caseworker.
Well, I wasn't informed.
Why are you putting up roadblocks? Partner with us here.
Sorry, but I know what happens when you partner with the city. They tell you they're only going to see that you follow state guidelines, but it's really a pretext for legal action. They'd love to take Good Shepherd away from me.
Well, I thought Good Shepherd was run by the Archdiocese.
The same goes double for them. I stay away from all bureaucrats, sacred and secular.
You know we can get a court order.
You can, but you won't. I've fought the city many times, Detective. It's a powerful adversary, but it hates to look bad in public. I know how to make it look bad. That's how I've bought the space to run my agency my way.
Your private kingdom.
Call it what you will.
So tell me, why did Miss Bauer have such a big problem with cops?
You want to hear about Jenna Bauer's problem with cops? Cops killed Aaron's father. Narco squad kicked down their door in the middle of the night. Started tearing the place apart looking for contraband. When Mr. Bauer stepped forward to defend his home, they shot him. Just another casualty of the drug war. So can you blame Mrs. Bauer for thinking maybe the story was repeating itself?
I just had an enlightening conversation with the sheriff of Russell County, Kansas. He told me about the drug bust that killed Aaron's dad. Apparently, they found 3 pounds of meth in the house.
That's a relevant fact. Wonder if it's in the Bowers case file.
You really think Mom's the killer?
I hope my hunch is wrong, but yeah, I do.
You better hope your hunch is right. Montrose has himself a big megaphone, and he's been making a lot of noise about how you roughed up his client. What's your plan? Subpoena the boy's files?
Maybe. But first, I think we need to pay Mrs. Bauer a visit. Can we get a search warrant, just in case?
The press is still giving us grief over the way we fumbled the preppy jogger case. They're gonna crucify us if you break into this apartment and come up empty. I hope you know what you're doing.
NYPD, open up! Mrs. Bauer, if you don't let us in, we're gonna have to force the door. Oh, man. What a wreck.
If we're lucky, she won't come back and make a scene.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Oh, hell. Dead?
Very.
I'll call dispatch. Yeah, this is Briscoe. We're on the scene at the Bauer residence, and we're gonna need an ME. Looks like a 10109. Yeah, right.
Lights don't work.
No heat either. I'm guessing the electricity's been cut off.
I wonder how long. Wasn't Good Shepherd supposed to take care of this kind of thing?
We've got 2 victims now. Let's get a better picture of how they died, and how they lived. Meth pipe. Looks like Mom had a bad habit.
Guess we know who Aaron was bringing the candy for.
And knowing meth addicts, I can imagine she wasn't too compassionate when he came home without it.
Vodka bottle's empty.
And so's the bottle of Xanax. I think we found our cause of death.
Somebody paid Jenna Bauer $1,000 back in April. New Directions Holding Company.
I have a feeling $1,000 checks didn't show up in her mailbox all that often.
I wonder how she scored this one. Wonder how this fell over.
Mrs. Tallis's Statue of Liberty clock.
Damn it, Lenny. Look, right there.
Blood.
I can guess whose. The poor kid comes home with this crap, and she beats him with it. Satisfied?
Yeah, I think our killer's gonna miss her date in court.
You think she overdosed on purpose? Out of guilt?
Maybe. She's a junkie, Ray. Don't hurt yourself trying to figure it out. Well, what do you know?
M.E.?
It's the caseworker from Good Shepherd. And she's knocking on the wrong door. Oh, hey, miss, the party's down here.
Detective Briscoe? What are you doing? Oh my god! It's Mrs. Bauer!
I'm afraid so.
Tell me, did the place look like this on Christmas Day?
Well, how should I know?
Isn't that the date of your last visit?
My last visit? I wasn't here on Christmas. Oh. I'd better call the office about this. Dr. Montrose? Yeah, I'm at the apartment. There's something you should know.
The Bauer case. Isn't it time we close the file on that one?
I'd love to, believe me, but justice hasn't been done.
Poetic justice, maybe. Nobody comes away from this one looking good. Including us.
What Detective Curtis is saying is, we think you've got a case against the Good Shepherd Agency.
Against Stefan Montrose, you mean? The champion of the downtrodden?
Are you saying he's the killer?
No, but his agency failed to prevent the deaths. We feel he's responsible.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Tell me why we should go after Montrose.
Law says a child welfare agency's got to check in with clients regularly.
And Good Shepherd didn't?
Apparently not.
She drew a blank when we asked about her last visit.
And Montrose himself basically admitted that he ignores state procedure.
Are we going to stand by and let our social service agencies go rogue?
Jack, we don't have a case against him.
Not yet. Let's see what's in those case files.
Here's the last record in the file.
What about the sensitive material from several years ago Montrose told us about?
Mysteriously missing.
Christmas Day, huh? That is one dedicated caseworker.
That's one lying caseworker. We got a ticket says Aaron Bauer was at the top of the World Trade Center at 2 that afternoon.
This report's a complete fabrication, no question. But who do we indict? Simplest thing would be to go after the caseworker, but
Montrose says he prefers to be the point of contact with the city.
then let's give him what he wants.
Throughout his career, Stefan Montrose has continually shone a light on the system's indifference to its most vulnerable citizens. Tuesday afternoon, the system struck back.
We know what the columns are saying, Miss Jameson. We intend to prove that Dr. Montrose is guilty as charged.
Manslaughter with gross negligence?
In addition to one count of falsification of records with intent to deceive.
I'm afraid you won't get the chance to present those records in court. I'm filing a motion to suppress. Paperwork went through the day before the subpoena was served. Good Shepherd is no longer run by the Archdiocese of New York. It's now an entirely private agency, administered through Dr. Montrose's holding company, New Directions.
So you propose to throw out the evidence because we put the wrong address on the subpoena? Of all the underhanded ploys.
The argument is technically correct. Improper service of a subpoena invalidates admissibility. The court finds for the motion.
Fine. We'll proceed without it.
Dr. Montrose, we've heard in graphic detail about the final days of Aaron Bauer. It's natural to feel pity and perhaps even outrage over the manner in which he died. So tell the court, are you in fact guilty of gross negligence?
No, I am not.
Let me read you a quote. Neglect is built into our current welfare system. The client is a mere asset to be kept or traded as it benefits the agency.
Ah, you're reading to me from my own book, The Empty High Chair, published last spring. My agency is different.
Indeed, Good Shepherd is distinguished for treating its clients with dignity, as individuals with needs. Isn't that right?
Objection! Leading. Defense is giving a speech for her client.
Sustained. Let's concentrate on the facts of this case, shall we?
Were you personally involved in the case of Aaron Bauer?
I involve myself personally in every one of my cases, and this was especially true with respect to Aaron.
How so?
When the Bauers first came to my attention, Aaron had been taken into state custody and shut away inside City Youth Home. I know that institution well. I spent my own formative years there. Nobody deserves to go to City Youth Home. Nobody.
And yet, despite your personal involvement in this case, Aaron Bauer was killed. How do you explain this?
One word: drugs. First it was the crack epidemic. Now, just as that's beginning to subside, an even worse plague is sweeping through New York. It's a plague that destroys mostly those on the margins, so it's easy for the rest of us to ignore.
Do you have some ideas for addressing this problem?
Objection! Misleading the jury.
Objection overruled.
Jenna Bauer lapsed back into addiction, unbeknownst to you, although your caseworker visited her as recently as Christmas Day.
I'm afraid that's correct. In spite of our vigilance, in spite of intensive therapy, the siren call of crystal meth proved too much for her. And once she began using again, she quickly became a danger to her son.
How did she manage to pull the wool over your eyes?
It's one of the most insidious aspects of the syndrome. I've seen it many times. The addict puts up a false front of normalcy, a front that can fool even a trained observer.
Objection! No expert standing.
Your Honor, Dr. Montrose is director of a licensed welfare agency. He holds a PhD in social work from Cornell. He is eminently qualified to comment on the behavior of addicts.
Agreed. Objection overruled.
One last question. Has this tragedy caused you to re-examine your practice?
Naturally, we're thoroughly reviewing our procedures. We exist to serve our clients. The death of one impoverishes us all.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Montrose. Your witness, Mr. McCoy.